About all of it tonight with retired four-star U.S. Army General Barry Mccaffrey, a veteran of that part of the world, a decorated combat veteran of Vietnam, former battlefield commander in the Persian Gulf, these days an MSNBC analyst. General, I want to start you with what we just heard from the Secretary of State there. What do you make of his choice of words and tone?
It's one of the more remarkable statements by a Secretary of State in the history of U.S. diplomacy. You know, there's almost an eerie ring to it of the Japanese Foreign Ministry being in talking to Secretary Cordell Hull while the bombs were falling on Pearl Harbor. You know, Secretary Mattis is supposed to be in charge of threatening people, and Secretary Tillerson is supposed to be trying to keep us out of war. I don't think there's a serious diplomatic engagement strategy here at all. Where's a conference of the head of state of Japan, South Korea, Australia, the U.S.? Where's the intervention with the Chinese directly at presidential level? It's just an astonishing situation. By the way, there's 2.1 million men and women in the armed forces that are listening to this language, and they're saying, we'd better get ready to go to war.
Yeah, I was just going to say, 28,000 of them in South Korea, another 40,000 of them not far away in Japan.
Sure. Yeah, an offshore Navy. And by the way, in the background, the second question one asks is, where is Congress in this? Where's the Senate? Where's the notion of advise and consent, authorization on the use of military force? Are we conceding unilateral authority to the President of the United States to conduct preventive war, potentially including the use of nuclear weapons? I think the sort of the deal must be, well, he's just bluffing. But Kim Jong-un, at age 33, with his murderous generals around him, doesn't know we're bluffing, if we are. I think this is a huge potential tragedy unfolding in slow motion.
And then we see this statement released to CNN tonight from the North, kind of a commensurate hike in the wording, where they say, no thanks, we're not interested in diplomacy right now. We are trying to perfect an ICBM with a warhead that'll make it to your East Coast.
Well, they're going to have it, too. There's no question within 5 years. So, again, the military preparations make a lot of sense. One of the other problems, it seems to me, Brian, is using conventional air and sea power only. My guess is within 6 months we could destroy the North Korean armed forces and bring down the regime. I don't know if they know that or not, but if we go to war, if that eventuality starts becoming apparent that they're losing, they're going to go nuclear. So, again, the consequences of all this could be profound. I want to see more involvement by the U.S. Congress and more engagement on diplomacy and economic leverage.
I have to ask you this. The president's about to embark on a big Pacific Rim Asian trip, including a stop in South Korea, which may include a trip to the demilitarized zone, the war, of course, that never ended, a very tense part of the world. Your opinion on whether or not he should go to the DMZ at this time?
The minute I saw that, I was absolutely horrified. That is a huge mistake. It's an invitation to Kim Jong-un to make some provocative action, potentially involving the security of the President of the United States. The President ought to be going to Beijing, not South Korea. You ought to hold a conference of heads of state, not in South Korea, but outside the region. So, again, I think this has been very badly mishandled, and the consequences could be profound for the U.S. Armed Forces. But more importantly, Brian, we're not going to get hit by nuke weapons in the United States, not in the next year or 3. The South Koreans, the Japanese, Guam, Okinawa, those are the potential targets in a nuclear exchange. So our allies have to be aboard with whatever's going on.
General, it's chilling stuff. Scary world right now. Thank you so much for coming back on our broadcast tonight. Retired U.S. Army four-star General Barry Mccaffrey. A final break for